journey, and he can sit down with a group of executives, and man, he can command the room. Then he can go in the locker room and he can make everybody in the locker room laugh. And then he goes out on the field, and I mean, he's nasty. He's nasty. He likes it. He's one of those guys you got to say, whoa. You don't have to tell him sick him. You got to say, whoa, a little bit. All right, let's make sure that's between the whistles. So he's just an awesome young man, very well rounded. He understands where he's going in life. He knows what he wants, but at the same time, he's enjoying the moment. And that's something that I look back on my college experience. I probably didn't enjoy, the moments as much as I could have because I was so focused on where I was going. But he's figured it out, and that's what I enjoy. That's what I enjoy about him.
Tony, you mentioned November and the championship phase coming up for a lot of teams out there. It's off the math limit. A lot of teams out there, they're simply looking to get to the postseason. That's not something, a bowl game is not something that nobody said after you were 6-0, hey, we're bowl eligible. Is that a luxury for you guys that you don't have to worry about that? And how much as a coach do you have to guard against those teams that are fighting for eligibility?
In terms of the postseason and the bowl, we're not worried about that. We know right now the next thing on our goal board is to win the division. And we understand that we got to win the division, then win the state championship, and then have a chance to play for the conference championship before any of that stuff postseason-wise is possible. And that's just what I think Coach Sweeney does better than anybody in the country is creating. We can take a step back and look at the big picture. We understand that, but we have that tunnel vision and that focus, and we understand that right now in championship phase, when we say championship phase, the first thing is we got to take care of business the next 3 weeks to win our division and then have a chance to win the state title the week after that.
Tony, can you maybe in the spring or summer, I know you worked on your guys, but was there a moment when you what Brett was doing with these guys, this team this year, where you thought these guys could be pretty nasty this year?
Which one of the 15 practices? Because
whichever one you want to take.
whichever one. I mean, and that's what Brent does, I believe, better than anybody in the country is he understands his personnel and puts them in a position to be successful. And week in and week out, man, he can dissect an offense and figure out their weak points, and he can go attack it. And then he has the ability to get his guys to, man, have full confidence and full belief, even though the plan may change up a little bit week to week. And that's what you see on our practice field. But man, when he was doing some of that 3-down stuff with Isaiah coming from the rafters, I was like, oh Lord, this is going to be hard. But it made us get better because what I've seen and what I've noticed is man, he's a pioneer. He's kind of out in front of everything, and then teams kind of watch what he's doing, and then they start to emulate and mimic. So I said, man, this is good for us because what you're noticing is now a lot more teams are going to a 3-man front. I think NC State completely, revamped their defense. They're in a 3-man front now, and so that was something that I said, man, this is tough because you're trying to figure out. And every day when you set rules based off of what you saw, the next day he's got about 3 more blitzes that run you hot, and you're like, oh my gosh. But now we can tell our guys there's nothing that you haven't seen. So anything that we're seeing is, hey, just rely on what we did. We got a plan, and then it still stresses us too because each week our protection plan is going to be set for who we're playing, but we still do good on good, So then we got to transition, and then we got to go back to, picking up his blitzes, which keeps us sharp, which I'm very, very thankful for.
He's very competitive at practices. Does he have fun dialing up those blitzes, confusing you guys in the offense, giving you guys new wrinkles?
Of course he does. But and I don't think it's a situation where he's trying to say, hey, let's go attack our offense. This is what we're going to do this week. This is our plan, and then let's go run at full speed versus us. And it gives us headaches, especially in the competitive situations where coaches are off the field and we're just letting our guys play because it doesn't marry up necessarily. Right, because if we're playing a 4-down team, our rules are going to be different than picking up his pressures. But man, he's so competitive, and very detail oriented, and that's one thing that's helped me as a coach too. With all the success that he's had, he's a Broyles Award winner. Man, he could be a head coach anywhere he wanted to be in the country. But man, he's just focusing on being the best defensive coordinator in the country and getting his guys ready to play week to week, and does it better than anybody in the business. You just look at how the defense is performing, and because of that, it's helped us, to get better. We have no excuses with the young guys that we have, what I'm saying, because they're performing, so we have to carry our load.
I think it was Kayvon that said Venables will be doing on the sidelines late in games, calling what the offense is going to run before they run it. Is he just kind of a next level guy when it comes to football knowledge? Is he kind of the smartest guy in the room generally when it comes to that?
I would say so. I mean, I would like to think that I'm a pretty smart guy, and I can recall some things, man. But he could tell you a call from 15 years ago at Oklahoma in this game. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Just the football intelligence, that he has, and something that's very admirable too, and something that I'm striving because again, and I don't think he does it because he wants a pat on his back. I think he does it because he knows that that's what he needs to do to help his young men be successful, and that's the same thing that I strive for, is to make sure that when I walk into a game plan, I can tell you defensively in these situations for the most part what's getting ready to happen. And I think that's just the way he prepares. He knows, and he wants to be able to tell his young men and give his young men help. And that's your job as a coach on game day, is to be able to help your young men, because they're not going to know everything you know as a coach. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you know as a coach; it's what your players know. But as a coach, you got to be able to relate to them and give them the information that they need to be successful.
Given what he lost off that defense from last year, are you surprised that he's got this defense where it is now?
No, because you just look at the experience, and again, and I said this about the offense. Each year, it's a different unit. They got to develop their own chemistry, and sometimes it's unfair because they get compared, to last year's identity, and it takes a little bit of time for you to figure out, okay, this is who we are this year, and I think that's where we are offensively. The guys have kind of figured out, the chemistry is starting to gel, and that's why we're starting to play a little bit more consistent, play in and play out. Whereas for him this year, it changed a little bit where the experience was on the back end. Okay, well, if the experience is on the back end, well, then how can I formulate the structure this year, to accentuate, the strength while we develop, some of the guys that got to get experience. And then you have a guy like Tyler Davis that shows up, and I mean, he's ready-made. And then when you can plug that guy in, then that gives you some consistency, which elevates the play of the guys around him. And then now that chemistry, starts to come together, and then that confidence is there. And then each week you're able to put in a plan where these guys believe in it, they go out and they execute, and they can play at a high level.
Given that most of the time great defense starts on the line of scrimmage, is it all the more remarkable that it has sort of started, it's built on the back end this year?
Well, I think they got, if I'm not mistaken, I think they got 30 sacks already, which is more than they had last year with all the guys on the defensive line. So, and again, I don't get to watch every play, and then after the game, I kind of move on to the next opponent, so I don't get to see, exactly what they're doing. But what I know is you constantly see guys in the backfield, being disruptive, creating havoc. So again, I think schematically, Brent does a great job of putting them in position, to be able to make plays. And then when you got the confidence on the back end and you can lock guys up and you make the quarterback, hold the football, then you have an opportunity. And then he brings pressures. He knows exactly how to pressure you to run you hot, and that's a luxury to have when you can dial up those pressures. And that's something that I do sleep at night about is, okay, how do I keep my quarterback upright based off of all the different pressures that this defense is going to bring.
Do you think around the country people don't realize how good Isaiah Simmons is and the way Brent uses him?
I think as we finish out the season, people will. I know how good he is. I mean, he's a young man. I mean, he's one of the few individuals that I think he could go play corner. I think he could play safety. I think he could play linebacker. He could play outside linebacker. Heck, you can put his hand on the ground and he could rush the passer. I mean, he's just an unbelievable athlete, and he's really, really matured, over his time here. He's taken ownership of his opportunity. He's a great leader. So hopefully, when it's all said and done, and he continues to play at a high level, I think people will take recognition.
Tony, you continue to get good rotation out of your running backs every week. What can you say to the performance of Lynn J. Dixon and Dukes and the Super?
Right, I thought this was the most complete and best game that Lynn J. played. I thought that he had the right mindset and mentality. And sometimes it's tough with a younger back who may not know when he's going in the game. He may not know how many snaps he's going to play throughout the course of the game. It's a little bit tougher on them because running back is a rhythm position. Those guys get into a rhythm. You watch Travis, he gets better as the game goes. But I thought Lynn J. had the right mindset. He still has to work on his pad level, still some things to improve, but I thought that he really took ownership of the plan. The most snaps he's played, he actually played the most snaps out of all the running backs, even played more than Travis, so I was pleased with his performance. I thought, he was trying to be physical in the passing game with a couple of pickups. And then, Ches is getting better. I saw some things. There was one cut that I felt like he now has the confidence to try and make. I think early on, man, he was just going to do what he's used to doing, taking the ball and running straight and running over people. But there was one cut that I saw him try to make. I said, okay, now it's starting to slow down for him a little bit. And then Mikey, once he gets in there, you know, he's just so happy to run. He's just going to take off and run and use his athleticism. But I did see him, you know, trying to be a little bit more patient, dropping his pads, just little things that I'm seeing that's letting me know that, hey, the transition is taking place from the practice field to the game field.